appreciate it. Take as many pictures as you guys want, though, during the tour. We only ask that you turn off your flash, just in case we encounter any wildlife, especially the bats. That quick flash actually temporarily blinds them, so just trying to keep them from getting hurt. At any point in the tour, though, if anybody becomes really uncomfortable in the cave and you want to leave early for whatever reason, that's totally okay. Just don't walk away from the group, obviously. Let me know. I'll use the phone system that's in there to call another guide and escort you right back to the surface within 5 minutes. Last thing about the cave, guys, before we go in, and the most important rule, please don't touch any of the rocks, the walls, or the formations in there with your bare hands. Just because there's oils and dirt on our hands, that stuff does permanently damage the cave. So, any questions before we head on in, you guys? Alrighty. Alright, follow me into this dark little hole in the wall right here, you guys. You ever been in a cave before, sir?
I was here about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, I feel like I remembered your face.
Yeah,
so,
just I want to do it with a night vision camera because I want to make sure you guys get everything.
Oh, nice. Good idea. Were you on my tour?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'll give you my channel name. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, yeah, I do remember you telling me a channel. I forgot what it was called, though.
It's Aventuras de Chico.
Oh, yeah. All right, perfect. Come on down, my friends. There we go. There's all 8 of you. All right, you guys. So welcome to the entrance room to our cave. We're just going to be stopping here for a few minutes so our eyes can adjust to the change in light and so I can ask all of you guys a very important question. Do you all like how it smells in here? If you're getting any smell at all, it's okay if you're not. Anybody getting any kind of smell? Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Yeah, it's a little less musty in here than it usually is, to be honest with you. But if you're getting any of that musty smell, if you're not right now, you will. It's going to be coming from all that dark, tarry, sticky-looking stuff on the ceiling up there. Are there any guesses as to what that stuff is, guys? Any guesses at all? Yeah, that's basically a bunch of bat pee and poop kind of mixed together up there. But yeah, that stuff is known as bat guano, though, and it's pretty much on every surface here in the cave, except for the handrails, of course. But it is probably another reason why you might not want to be touching anything in here, right? There's millions of years worth of that stuff all over these walls, but most of our bats, they are down south in Mexico for the winter as part of their migration process, but we should still have a few bats flying around in certain areas of the cave. If you guys do see any bats today, it's probably going to be the species, the cave myotis. That species kind of looks like a bunch of flying chicken nuggets almost. They're kind of adorable. But if you guys do see any bats flying over your head and you want to look up at them, just do it with your mouth closed because they do like to do their business as they fly from time to time. Don't want any unexpected treats, right? But we also get some snakes, scorpions, and spiders that do like to live in this cave from time to time. But we remove all those venomous creatures before the first tour in the morning. So don't worry too much about them. We also get these cute little animals known as coatis or coatimundi if you've ever heard of them. They're a member of the raccoon family. They kind of look like if you mix a raccoon and a badger together and then put a lemur tail on them. That's what they look like in a nutshell. We used to have a lot more of those little guys, but we started locking up our trashes differently up there, so they're probably down by the hiking trails, harassing hikers for food and stuff like that. I've actually heard a few stories that they have broken into our margarita machines like 2 separate times, and they did get really drunk, so my kind of animal right there. But you might also notice this rock right above all of our heads, right where I'm shining my light. You can see some discoloration on it. Kind of looks like the bat guano I was just talking to you about, but that's actually going to be a bunch of smoke staining and residue from the fires of our very first visitors to this cave, the Hohokam Native Americans. They had their fires right about here, and those guys used this entrance room from the years 900 to about 1450 AD. And they didn't live here, they just used this room for storage and migration purposes. Later on in the tour, I'm going to show you guys some pretty cool artifacts that they left behind. Right now, though, we're going to head down to the Crystal Forest. Just watch your head and your shoulders coming through here. There's some low-hanging formations that may rock your noggin. By the way, if anybody has questions at any point, feel free to just shout it out. No need to raise your hand for any reason. We have a small group. I also like to point out this drop-off down here in your guys' right, because we get a lot of field trips to this cave with a bunch of first and second graders normally. Sometimes they start being like really loud and they stop behaving. Guys, we just toss them right down there when that happens. Really helps out a lot. If it works, it works. For legal reasons and for the camera, that was a joke.
You want to be famous, right?
Oh, yeah. We are walking into a pretty cool looking room right now, guys. One of my favorites for sure.
Wow.
I'm going to hold up here a moment, wait for a few folks to catch up. Amazing. So guys, before we go further into this really cool looking room, I do want to make you all aware of this cool formation you're all going to meet at the top of these stairs. This formation's name is Old Baldy, and this is what it looks like when one of these formations gets touched by humans millions of times. You can see all the dust and the pollen that's all over these formations. All of that serves as a protective layer for them. So when we touch the formations, it all gets rubbed off, and you see that smooth calcite crystal that's under it all, that it's all made out of. When the formations look like this, it basically means that they cannot grow again if water were to return to this cave, which is, of course, why we tell everybody not to touch anything in here. But yeah, guys, you can actually give Old Baldy a pat on the head for good luck as you pass by him. We use him as the get it out of your system thing on the tour, so do it if you're interested, guys. I will warn you, though, Old Baldy has germs on him dating back to the 1800s. We've never cleaned him before, but yeah, you can always wash your hands, right? All right, 2 more, right?
2 more, and you might have another group that's coming in, but if they don't show up, then we can hear it.
All right, sounds good, Everett. Thank you. All right, good to have you guys on the tour. My name's Emilio, by the way. All right, follow me over here, my friends. If you guys need a handrail coming down, got one on the left and Old Baldy's cousin on the right if you wanted to use him. If you guys can make your way down to that landing for me, that'd be perfect. My friends, need a handrail, again, got one on the left, and Old Baldy's cousin on the right if you wanted to use him.
I will.
Go for it.
Thank you.
Yeah. My friend. So right now we are walking into the Crystal Forest. Obviously, it gets its name from all the cool formations that are hanging from the ceiling and coming up from the ground like Old Baldy over there. But does anybody happen to know what the formations that are hanging from the ceiling are called? Anybody know that? They're called stalactites, actually. And a good way to remember that is that stalactites will always hang tight to the ceiling, whereas the formations that come up from the ground, those are called stalagmites. We like to say that stalagmites might trip you if you're not looking out for them, right? But the most important thing that I want you all to remember about all these formations is that they are all formed from a mineral called calcium carbonate. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but back at your houses, if you don't clean off your faucets for a while, they start to get that white residue and buildup around them. That stuff is the same exact mineral that all of the formations in this cave consist of. So if you think about it, if you let that stuff grow in your bathroom for like 300 years, you would have yourself a pretty cool crystal there waiting for you. But you're also going to notice that a lot of the formations in this cave, like these guys up here, they have flat ends, which is actually not natural. That's what we call cave vandalism. And that was all done in the late 1800s by a guy with kind of a cool name, honestly. It was Solomon Lick. Unfortunately, though, he was not the coolest guy. He owned a hotel about 2 miles in that direction, and one day he was searching for some lost cattle in this area. He stumbled across the cave, and he basically rediscovered it since those Hohokam Native Americans. But Solomon decided that even though he did not own this cave, he was going to use it to kind of promote his hotel. So for many years, Solomon would bring people through here and tell them to take whatever they wanted as souvenirs. People would come in here with lassos and they would pull the formations down. In some instances, they would come in here with guns and they would actually shoot them down, which is super smart to do in a cave. Super smart. All right, I'm going to come down here, introduce you all to another buddy of mine. Right up here, I should say. Check this guy out. This guy's name is Fang. And as far as we know, Fang is the largest stalactite in our entire cave system. He probably weighs somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds. So it's kind of like having a Ford F-150 pickup truck just hanging over your head. Or a 4-year-old elephant. But he gets his name because he kind of looks like a molar and a fang, obviously, but mostly because if you're over 5'7" and you're not looking out for him, Fang is going to take a good bite right out of your head. Yeah, he will actually make a cool noise when people do run into him. Check it out. Yeah, so if I hear that noise, I know he got one, you guys. So careful coming through here from experience, it hurts quite a bit. Makes a cool noise as well, that guy. But follow me down this way, my friends. There's a stairwell right here at the start of it. We're missing a few handrails, so if you need to, you can balance yourself out on some of these rocks. Also been touched a million of the time. Handrail starts on your right, though. You guys could all form a little bit of a U shape as you come in here. Like that, that'd be perfect. Welcome in, my friends. Got a nice open, spacey room for you all in here. It's where we hold the cave rapes. I wish. Alright, perfect. Looks like we still have everybody so far, but yeah, guys, welcome to probably the largest room we're going to be standing in today. This room is called the drapery room. It gets its name from this cool formation hanging right above all of our heads up here. Check it out. Kind of looks like curtains or drapes almost, right? It's pretty straightforward. They're just called cave curtains. But the cave curtains that are in singular form, like this guy right over here, this would actually be known as cave bacon, which is the scientific term for it. Geologists are very hungry people. They do name a lot of different things off of food. You guys will see cave popcorn here in a little bit, but we also have like a very, very rare mineral in this room that I really want to show you guys as well. Check it out. Right up here we have what's called fiberglass. I'm just kidding. It's fake. An actual formation I want to show you guys. Right over here we have a stalagmite and a stalactite. That stalag meets in the middle, as I like to say. When that happens, it's called a column. This is a process that can take upwards of 100,000 years to form. Kind of crazy to think about to me, but it actually takes all the stalactites and stalagmites about 100 years for them to form half a cubic inch. So when you look at them, you can kind of guess how long it took for them to form, which is super cool to me. But in that last room, I talked to you all a bit about the guy who destroyed a lot of parts to this cave, but in this room, I want to talk to you about the guy who really made an effort to save this cave. His name was Frank Schmidt. He was originally from Germany, but he came over here. He went on one of those Solomon Lick tours. He saw all that cave vandalism going on, got so mad about it, he saved up his money for 4 years. And then he bought the mining rights to the cave in the year 1920 for like $10,000. And the first thing that Frank does with his new cave is he makes it so that nobody can come in here without a tour guide. For a while, Frank was actually the only tour guide working here up until the age of 84 years old. He died when he was 85, unfortunately, but that just means he pretty much dedicated almost his entire life to this cave, which is pretty remarkable in my opinion. But back in the day, though, for 25 cents, Frank would give you a candle and a rope, and you would just explore this place with him all day. There were never any time limits on his tour, so imagine if all of you guys were on this tour for 8 hours or something like that. Wouldn't that be awful? And say you wanted to leave the tour before Frank wanted to, he would just look at you and say something like, I'm going to keep exploring, go back the way you came, hope you don't get lost. Yeah, customer service was not as much of a priority back in those days, but you might have also noticed that the floors that we've all been walking on, they might not seem too natural to you. You'd be right to think that Frank had a group called the CCC come in and build them. I'm just curious, does anybody happen to know what the CCC stands for, or do you want to guess? It's not cave, I promise. Yeah, it stands for the Civilian Conservation Corps. They were all a group of 18 to 24-year-olds who did a bunch of work around state and national parks in the 1930s. 400 of those guys. They came down here, built all these walkways, stairs, and handrails for us. Took them like 3 to 4 years to do it. Before them, right where we're standing, was a 30-foot drop, which I like to think about. But last thing about this room, guys, before we continue, is that this room is pretty important for one specific reason. Let's say you guys were all to get lost on the tour today. Oh no, right? You're walking through a strange cave, don't know where you're going. You're probably going to get a little bit disoriented. You're also probably going to end up in this room eventually. And that's because there are 5 different entrances to this room alone. Yeah, number 1, the stairwell we all just came from, pretty obvious. And then number 2 is right over there. There's a super small, dark, like claustrophobic hole right over there. You don't want to go that way. It's actually part of our wild cave tour that we do here. It's where they exit the tour, actually. But number 3 is right behind you guys over here, off to that area on my right. If you went through there, you just end up looping right back around to the area on the left. So not going to be very useful to you. And then number 4 is behind you guys over there down that stairwell, which we're going to be exploring in a few minutes here. And number 5, excuse me real quick, this super dark, ominous looking area with a gurney, an oxygen tank, and a first aid kit over there. But I do have a question for you guys. Which one of these entrances would you choose if you were trying to find your way out of this cave? Not a trick question. Exactly, the way we came, right? The most obvious one. That way is actually so obvious, though we do consider it cheating. Only because, again, you would be a little bit disoriented, a little turnaround if you got lost in here. So in that scenario, you would have to find our cave witch in this room, and she's going to point you in the right direction out of this cave. I'll give you guys a hint. The cave witch is going to be on this side of the room if you want to try and spot her. Come in close, guys. You'll see her much better from up here, but point her out to me if you do spot the cave witch. I'll give you a moment here. See anything witchy, guys? Not quite? Yep. Great job over there. I'll point out some of her defining features to you guys. We got her long, scraggly hair right there, and then her eye, her little wart, her long, pointy nose pointing you in the right direction out of the cave. Also, her little snaggletooth right there as well, which does tend to happen if you're always eating a limestone cookie. Check it out. Also, does anybody happen to know what a witch's favorite animal is? Also, not a trick question. Anybody know? Maybe a cat, perhaps? A black cat, exactly. We do have Shadow the cat right here to keep our cave witch company. Pretty adorable rock right there. One of my favorites in the cave. But we also have, has anybody ever heard of this blind old man from the comics named Mr. Magoo? Fair enough. I never heard about him either before I worked here. But we do have our own little Mr. Magoo, which is still kind of a cool formation to see. You can see his blind little eye right there. Forehead, big nose, lips, and his cup of tea right there. Still kind of a sick formation. But we also have a few celebrities in here that you're all going to probably recognize. Right over here, guys, check it out. We got SpongeBob and Patrick just watching us over there. Pretty amazing. If you have a good imagination, you might even see Plankton right there in the middle. So sick, so sick. Does anybody have any questions about the cave or anything before we continue? All good to go? Perfect. All right, real quick, though, to give you all a picture about how big this cave really is, we know of 39.5 miles of this cave, but we've never mapped out the entire thing. I don't even think we've come close to mapping it all out. I do think it's pretty cool. We have that mystery of how colossal the cave is, right? But follow me down here, guys, show you some more cool stuff. You guys might come in a little bit past me, like right there would be perfect. I want to show you all this cool crystal right up here. I know, pretty cool crystal right up here, you guys. Looks so cool under a flashlight, but under a UV light, it'll look even cooler. It'll glow like pinkish red, actually. I'll show you what I mean. Check that out. Yeah, kind of crazy looking. It's called optical calcite. It glows like that because there's an element inside of the crystal called manganese, which is a form of alpha radiation, actually. But don't worry, that radiation can only travel about 1 foot out from the crystal, and it can only harm you if you were to ingest it. So I know it's super tempting, looks like rock candy, but please don't eat that crystal as you pass by, guys. People have actually tried. But yeah, if you don't mind coming a little bit this way so I can show those people in the back.
Sure.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Check it out. Optical calcite right up here, my friends. Kind of crazy looking. Looks like that under a flashlight, under a UV light. Those fingers red. Kind of crazy looking, right? Thank you guys so much. Got to make sure there's no big cats up ahead. All right, you guys can start. Thank you. All right, follow me right down this way, my friends. Thank you guys. For my folks in the back over there, can you all still hear me okay?
Yep.
Wonderful, thanks guys. So did you all just happen to see that clock looking thing before we came down the stairwell?
Yes.
Amazing. It's not a clock though. That's called a barometer. That's what the CCC used to measure the temperature and the humidity down here, which you guys might have noticed might be a lot warmer than you think a cave would be. Most caves are 50 to 55 degrees normally, but this cave is 71 degrees year-round. So it's almost like being in a Target. That's because it absorbs that desert heat a bit, and we're not as deep as other caves tend to be. But during the monsoon seasons that we get here, it can get over 100% humidity down here. So it can get super uncomfortable, you can imagine. But guys, further up here on the right, you're also going to come across what's called the bottomless pit. A few weeks ago, we had a lady lean in there with a brand new iPhone, trying to get a good picture. Dropped it right down the bottomless pit, of course. Can anybody guess where that iPhone is right now?
In the bottom of the pit.
Pretty good guesses all around. At the bottom of the bottomless pit, right? So it's not actually bottomless. Does go down like 60 feet though, so still super deep. If anybody wants, we can hang you down by your ankles to see if you can spot that iPhone. Just let me know.
No, thank you.
Fair enough. Yeah, no takers on that.
It's just an iPhone.
I'm sure there's some other treasures down there. I heard of a dude who dropped his passport down there one time before. Don't know how that happened. Cave tour.
Should I show his password again?
I guess. I don't know what he's trying to do. Guys, further up here on the left, you're also going to see those cool Hohokam artifacts I told you about in the entrance room. I think they're pretty cool to look at because they're over 1,000 years old, and it shows some of the tools that they would use to grind herbs and make food, that kind of a thing. Unfortunately, though, a lot more of their artifacts were stolen during those Solomon Lick tours. He ended up displaying some of them in his hotel, and that hotel ended up burning down, actually. We call that cave karma. Won't be the last example of that I'll tell you about. If you guys are curious, that right there is a fake stalagmite. Our maintenance crew built that to try to hide some of the wiring right there, but as you can see, it does not hide the wiring at all. I just think that's a great use of our resources here. I don't know. Guys, up here on the left, there's a little bit of a narrow hallway coming up. Make sure to watch your shoulders as we come through it. So there are some cool crystals embedded in this wall. On the left, you can see it better under a flashlight. See how it sparkles like that? And we got mica, hematite, and calcite crystal in this hallway. If you guys want to see these crystals better in the wall on the left up here, feel free to use the flashlight on your phones. It's just a quick flash on the camera is what we don't want. Yeah. Who doesn't like a bedazzled looking wall? noggin as you guys come through this little arch. You were here when you were a kid? Hasn't changed much, right? Step through while I talk to you guys. Pretty sure we can put everybody in front of this handrail. Should be pretty easy. While we wait for the rest of the crew here, let's see if you guys can spot our Abraham Lincoln formation we have in this room. Instantly spotted him. Have you been here before? That's crazy.
No.
That's amazing eye right there.
Me too.
Yep, we got his bushy little beard right there, his lips, his nose, and his head, his hair, or his top hat, whichever you want to see. Old Abe Links is in the room, guys. He's right up there if you wanted to see him in the back. Yeah, guys. Right now we are standing in the movies and popcorn room. Gets that name partly because over 20 different movies have been filmed down in this cave before. But just to cover the popcorn bit of that real quick, you guys can see that cave popcorn I told you about earlier on this wall right here, as well as that wall right behind you guys over there. There's a lot of stuff on these walls that kind of look like popcorn. That's there because of the water that formed this cave, actually. It had a lot of sulfuric and carbonic acid in it, which is a very acidic, bubbly solution of water. So back when this whole room was underwater, a lot of those bubbles would get trapped to these walls, and some of them would crystallize over time, which is what you're seeing with the cave popcorn. Kind of cool. But again, over 20 different movies have been filmed down here, a lot of them being from National Geographic and Discovery Channel, things like that. But also, a lot of low-budget horror movies were filmed down here as well. Has anybody ever heard of a movie called Night of the Lepus? No? Yeah, probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen, honestly. It's one of those movies that's like so bad it's good. It's about a bunch of genetically modified giant killer bunny rabbits, actually. Super interesting stuff, I know. They just got a bunch of regular-sized bunny rabbits. They threw some red paint on their faces. Then they built like a tiny little mock town, and they hid some bunny treats throughout it. They just had the rabbits go and absolutely demolish the town, and they filmed it for the most part. If you're interested, last I checked, that whole movie is free on YouTube, so there you go. But also, Sesame Street came down here as well, and they filmed something. Was not really a movie, though. It was for one of those devices that you would put up to your eyes and click through some slides. Yeah, called a Viewmaster, if you guys know what that is. A little throwback for you, but it was called Sesame Goes Western. It was about Big Bird and Cookie Monster. They came down here. They were looking for the lost bird seed and the hidden cookie treasure. Pretty important stuff. But Big Bird came walking kind of right where you guys are over there, actually, and then he came across our cave T-Rex right here. Check this guy out. Yep, you can see his eye, his nose goes down like that, and his absolutely gorgeous smile right there. But as we know, Big Bird is a big chicken, right? So when he saw the cave T-Rex, he got so spooked by him, Big Bird actually turned around and he hightailed it straight through that wall right behind you guys over there. Yep, little Big Bird outline in that wall. That's the punchline to the joke. Pretty amazing, I know. I promise you guys, we did not carve a Big Bird outline in that wall. That's a natural formation known as a keyhole formation. But another cool thing about that wall behind you guys over there is that under a UV light, you're all going to see that a lot of this cave can actually glow quite a bit. Check that out. You guys see that bluish, purplish looking glow? Yeah, that's what we call human dust. Might sound a little bit weird, but if you guys all look at my shirt, I'll show you what it is. You guys see all that lint that gets trapped to our clothes? Yeah, when we come in here, all that stuff gets absorbed into the airways of the cave, and it sticks to the walls everywhere. So once a year, we have to have a dude come down here with a vacuum rig to try to vacuum all that stuff up everywhere in the cave. Kind of crazy. But as you guys come through this little walkway, you're all probably going to look up there and see the altar room. I can't take you guys up there, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would. But can anybody guess what the altar room's used for, just based off of that name? The altar room. What's that used for? Rituals, a specific ritual for sure. It's actually used for weddings, believe it or not. We do hold weddings up there every now and then. It's not too common, though, because white dresses are obviously not going to stay white up there. But one of our last weddings that we did get, little fun fact for you guys, the groom, he dressed up like a bat for his wedding. And his bride was just in a normal white dress, which kind of makes it even more weird if you ask me. But yeah, I'm sure they're still together, right? As we come through this little hallway, guys, sorry about that one. On your right over there, you're all going to see the bandit display case in a moment here. Back in the 1800s, some old bandits, they robbed a nearby train, and then they hid out in this cave from the police for a couple of days. leaving these cool artifacts for us to check out. So let's do that. Got all the essentials in there, as you can see. Yeah, my favorite thing in this display case would have to be the coat right there because of those gnarly leftover pit stains on it. Check them out, pretty significant damage. Also, that brand of coffee you guys are seeing in there, still sold in stores today. I just think that's kind of cool. Our Bubbles coffee. Cool beans. Literally.
Cool guy.
Totally did not mean to do that. No. Alright, gonna hold up here a moment. And then up here on the left over here, you guys, you're going to see the Frank display case as well. And this one just shows some of the tools that he used on his tours down here. Like there's a candle, a rope. If anybody's hungry, there's some lead-lined corned beef down here for you. Super yummy. We also have Frank's hat in here, which is what he used as a flashlight. Back in the day when flashlights were still a bit too fancy, they would put this specific type of hat on their heads called a carbide lantern. It's basically like strapping a blowtorch to your forehead, though. Yeah, I actually heard that if you were to bang your head hard enough on a rock with that thing on, it was known to blow up. So, yeah, kind of crazy. Create a mind-blowing experience. Okay. On the left over here, you guys are going to see the CCC display case as well. Shows some of the tools that they use to build all these walkways and stairs that we're walking on. Like there's a pickaxe, a shovel, a wheelbarrow in there. Generally not too interesting, but worth a look as you pass by for sure. Alright. A little side note for you guys. These three little holes in the wall right here, they kind of resemble a coati's face. It's those alcoholic raccoon badger looking things I told you about earlier. Kind of what their face looks like. Two little eyes in the nose right there. Coati or common? Also, just FYI, you guys, up here on the left, we do have the bottomless pit again. Same exact one. Did you guys notice we went into a little loop back there? Amazing. I actually did not notice that until my 5th time doing the review. Anyway. You guys could hang out at the top of these stairs for a few moments. Thanks, guys. Just got to make sure everybody is still with us. Really can't afford to lose any more people down here. Sorry, just thinking out loud. My very last person in the back over there. Sir, what's going to be your name? Steve. Steve, amazing. We are coming up to what's called the domino staircase right now. So, Steve, you actually have a pretty important responsibility coming up. Because if you were to fall down while we're all going down the staircase, yeah, we're all coming down with you like dominoes. So at the bottom, we're all going to give you a good round of applause if we survive, all right?
I'll wait for Steve.
Incredible. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. He seems like a trustworthy guy. No pressure, Steve.
Anybody want to wait for Steve?
Takes us all out too.
Truth. Yeah, like dominoes. A little domino effect right there. Did you guys happen to get cave insurance before you came in here today? Just that way if the cave were to collapse, we'd all be fully covered, right?
Right.
Yeah, sorry guys. A bit of a dad joke connoisseur, so not the end of them. Area is kind of interesting. We call it the riverbed because there was a river flowing through here millions of years ago. You can see the floor over there has a bunch of little ripples in it, just like water does. Water creates that pattern over a rock when it flows over it for thousands of years. Yeah, it's called flowstone. By the way, since you guys are being such a receptive group and I like you you guys so much. Right up there for all of you is going to be a little cave heart, if you can make that out. Yep, check it out. Nobody's ever seen that before, just you guys. Cave heart right up there for all of you. I know, right? Alrighty, if you guys could all stay up here for me. I'm just going to step right down here while I talk to you all. Let's get Steve in here so we can celebrate him. I'll just pick it up. He just entered the room, guys. Can we all give him a quick round of applause for MVP of the tour right here. Also, guys, we just passed this little patch of rocks right here to get into this room. Does not look like anything right now, but I do want you guys to kind of keep it in the back of your minds, because at the end of the tour, I'm going to give you guys a whole other angle of that area over there. It's called Frank's Shortcut, by the way. Also, you guys did all go into the gift shop before you came in here, right? Amazing. That was Frank's house back in the day, actually. Pretty cool. And during those Arizona summers, when it would get over 100 degrees outside with no AC available, why not use that 71-degree year-round cave in your front yard, right? It's exactly what Frank would have done. He'd come down through his shortcut over there, bring down a bunch of board games, furniture, and his family, and they would all make a nice little living room set up in this little area I'm standing in, which is what this room is called, Frank's living room, kind of like the first ever man cave, if you think about it. Or, sorry, 5-minute break from the dad jokes, guys. But also, from right there where you guys are standing, to right over here where you're standing, man, this right here is going to be the only natural part of the cave that you're all going to walk on today. Yeah, this is all called cave ice. And it's pretty interesting the way it forms. It's kind of similar to a frozen lake. But millions of years ago, all of this area we're all standing in was a shallow pool of water. And all the dust from the calcite crystal up here, that would all fall onto the surface layer of that water. And over hundreds or even thousands of years, it would crystallize on top of it, which is why it kind of looks like water frozen in time almost. And over a longer period of time, all the water that was beneath the cave ice, it would evaporate, making the cave ice hollow. So just like a frozen lake, depending on how thick that ice is, it could or it could not sustain your body weight. And depending on where you are in the cave, if you were to fall through a section of cave ice, you could fall 1 foot or you could fall like 40 feet. It was pretty much dependent on however deep the initial pool of water was. But my favorite thing about the cave ice is that under a UV light, you're all going to see that the cave ice can actually hold the glow from the light for a few seconds. I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, kind of cool to look at. This is called phosphorescence. Not sure about the exact science details behind it, but I know when you shine a UV light into calcite crystal, you're exciting some protons for a couple of seconds, which is what you're seeing with the phosphorescence. Does anybody want me to write their initials into the cave ice? It's like the only time I can draw in the cave without getting fired. Anybody at all? How about a big S for Steven, the MVP of the tour back there? Because why not? Big S for Steven. Amazing. Anybody else? Do this all day, no? All right. So guys, when we get to the bottom of this little staircase right over here, we're all about to be at the lowest point in the tour today, about 7 stories down from where we started, or 70 feet down. So do a little happy dance when you guys get down there. It's required. That's all I got. As you guys come up the staircase, make sure to watch out for this guy right here. Tends to get a lot of people coming up that staircase. You can see everybody's forehead oil on it. Hold up here a moment. Perfect. All right, you guys. So reason we're stopping here is just because I wanted to make you all aware of this formation that's right in our path. We named him Bone Crusher. He got that name because he broke the noses of 3 different tour guides in the past. Yeah, they're talking to you just like how I'm talking to you, probably standing somewhere right in front of them. Then they turn around, forgetting he's behind them, and they run right into him. If you look closely on the rock, you can actually see some nose residue. No, I'm just kidding, but it does glow in the dark in a pretty cool way. If I shine my UV light up there, it's kind of cool looking. Kind of looks like a booger, but just like that cave ice, this is all made out of calcite crystal, which means it can emit that cool phosphorescence as well. Pretty mesmerizing stuff, does not get old in my opinion. But yeah, guys, watch your noses as you pass by. See more of that cave popcorn right up there. It looks definitely more like popcorn than the stuff in the movies and popcorn room. Watch out for this guy as well. He's been known to trip people.
I'm asleep.
Alrighty, my friends, so we're about to go up another staircase right now. Make sure to watch your head on the right side of it as we go up. There's some more low-hanging formations that may possibly rock your noggin. Alright, you guys, as you come up this staircase at the top, make sure to check out that cool wooden structure you're all going to see right there. I'll tell you more about that once everybody lays eyes on it, but check it out, you guys.
That's the parking lot. I see that thing on the parking lot.
Exactly. Spoiler alert. I'm glad you remembered. Did you get some good footage last time you were here? Or was
It was pretty good, yeah.
You
It's just,
got the night vision this time, though.
yeah.
Super amazing.
Well, you know, believe it or not, I mean, even with the lights,
Yeah.
it's not enough for the phone.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Definitely. Especially for Android phones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Guys, make sure to watch out for Hairline Destroyer as you come up this staircase. Named that one myself. Alright, let me see. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, guys, that cool structure I just pointed out to you back there, it's called the CCC construction shaft. It's what they use to bring down a bunch of tools and materials to build these walkways and stairs, of course. Can't use it anymore, unfortunately. It's been infested with termites. But as you all leave today, I do want you to look out for this shed-like structure popping out of the ground in the parking lot. Kind of looks like a doghouse almost. That's going to be the top of that construction shaft, so technically we are right underneath the parking lot right now. Kind of cool. And then further up here on the right, you guys, you're also going to see arguably one of the most beautiful formations in our whole cave. This one's called the Silent Waterfall. It's a great example of flowstone and dripstone. You can see flowstone right there. As water flows over a rock for hundreds or thousands of years, it will crystallize just like that. And as that same water drips down for the same amount of time, it'll crystallize like that as well, creating flowstone and dripstone. This is all probably what your shower would look like if you left it on for thousands of years. So follow me up here, guys. Sort of an adorable cave bowling alley on the left right here. You can see a little bowling pin, bowling ball right below it. Little cave bowling alley we got going on. Best part of the tour right there, you guys. So right now, my friends, we are coming up to a pretty sketchy staircase. It's called the El Diablo staircase. Got that name because this is where most of our slips and falls have happened on this tour. So the best way to go down the staircase is to sidestep down it like a penguin almost. Sidestep down the staircase like a penguin, my friends, just like this. Yeah, they're just super narrow stairs because the CCC guys that built them, they had much smaller feet back in the 30s. It's actually true.
Is it?
Oh yeah, make sure to watch your head at the bottom for the taller folks especially. Alright, once you guys get down that staircase, on your left there's a bit of a giant hole in the ground. It's called Sinkhole Junior. It is not an actual sinkhole, we just think it kind of looks like one, so we gave it that cool name. Also, do make note of that little hole in the ground right there as you pass by it. There's a little story that goes along with that. I just want you to know it's there before you pass by it. Precisely, that's the moral of the story right there. On the left down here, guys, you're going to see Sinkhole Senior. Yeah, for those of you up there, make note of that little hole in the ground before you pass by it. Just know it's there. A little story goes along with it. Amazing. All right, perfect. I see Steven. So yeah, that little hole in the ground over there, that's where an old CCC worker fell through some cave ice, actually. He was carving his initials in that wall when it happened. I don't know if you guys can see that little H in the wall he was drawing. Well, he was actually more so burning that into the wall with one of those carbide lanterns I was talking to you about earlier, but he fell right through more of that cave karma I was talking about. Lucky for him, he did only fall about 1 foot, so it could have been a lot worse. I'm sure it just woke him up a bit, but also, if anybody wants, you can totally hang out at this handrail right here if you're comfortable. You can get a cool view from there. But also, can anybody guess what's at the bottom of Sinkhole Senior right here?
Bunch of living room.
Yep, exactly. The Frank's living room right down there. And that patch of rocks I was talking to you about in the living room, that's those rocks right there. So that does make this Frank's shortcut. This is how Frank would get into his living room. I'm so glad you remember that. But yeah, it's kind of crazy what he would do. Frank would actually, he would actually tie a rope around this stalagmite right here that kind of looks like a cinnamon roll, and then he would set a burning candle right next to it, which is probably not the smartest thing to do, and then he would rappel down that 30-foot drop. Frank's family, his kids, were going down the same exact way. So father of the year, right? Frank was kind of a crazy guy, but pretty cool at the same time. You can actually see some candle wax residue left all around this rock that Frank left behind, which I think is kind of cool to see. Some of it is that human dust I showed you earlier, but that smeared on stuff that you're seeing, that's all candle wax residue left behind by Frank. Kind of cool. But also, do you guys remember when I rung Fang and he made that cool noise? Amazing. That's called a cave bell. There is a few more of those in this room I'd like to show you, and then we're going to start to head out of here. But check this guy out right here. I call this rock music. This one's a bit deeper, like a bass almost. One of my favorites is right up here. Check this one out. I call it the dinner chime. Pretty good one right there, right? They sound kind of hollow, don't they? Yeah, they're actually solid all the way through, though. Have you guys ever seen those videos of those crystal bowls that you rub a spoon around, makes that cool noise? Same exact thing going on here. The calcite crystal that it's made out of, it gives it that ability to reverberate sound in such a cool way. So I'm just sending a bunch of vibrations through the crystal. Comes out as that nice frequency. As we head out of here, you're all going to get a chance to hit a cave bell, but this is actually the last stop on our tour today, guys. Thanks so much for coming out, laughing at some of my bad jokes. I really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed the tour and you want to help us out, a good way to do that is to leave us a Google review. You You can say, Emilio has nice, long, luscious locks or something like that. I like reviews that all say that same exact thing. It really confuses my boss, and I think it's hilarious. But if you really, really enjoyed the tour, we also accept tips. But if you did not enjoy the tour, like, at all, my name is going to be Eric, actually. Does anybody have any questions before we start to head out of here? All good to go? Perfect. I'm going to hang out up top for a few minutes if anybody wants to chat about anything or if any questions pop up. But if you guys are ready, we can start to head out. Thanks so much, guys. You were a great tour to end the day for me. I appreciate you being so receptive. All right, guys, follow me right up here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, if you guys wanted to grab a picture down there, go for it. Absolutely. We'll take our time going up here.
You want to go down?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Sorry, I didn't see you.
We'll just hang out here a moment. See how many people want to grab a short see down there.
There you go.
Good to go?
Yeah, I'm going to start walking. I don't want my body to die before I finish.
Oh, yeah, right.
I got another one, but I don't want to stop the video.
Nice.
Thank you, Emilio. I'll see you on the outside, okay?
Okay. Hold up here a moment. You know where you're going,
No,
don't
this
you?
is the way out, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's only one way out.
There we go.
Ok, gentes, bueno, estas fueron aventuras de Chilo. Estamos aquí en las cavernas colosal otra vez. La otra vez vine con el teléfono, pero no se grabó o no me gustó cómo quedó por lo oscuro. Regresamos con la cámara de visión nocturna para grabar un poco mejor. Lo que pasa es que la cámara de visión nocturna está muy acercada. No da lo que no alcanza una a ver, está muy cerca, mejor dicho. Pero como quiera, espero que les guste. Si les gusta, pues denle me gusta por ahí al videíto. Aventuras de Chilo, compartan, denle me gusta. Y bueno, a ver si se ve mejor este video. Es que ya vamos a salir aquí. Voy para afuera que me huela la peluca, se me está muriendo la batería de la cámara. Traigo una extra, pero